them.
Ever wondered about those mysterious circles that appear in fields overnight? Are they the work of pranksters, or is there a more extraordinary explanation? Join us for a deep dive into the world of crop circles as we explore the history of these enigmatic formations, examine the evidence for and against alien involvement, and discuss the theories of natural phenomena and human intervention. Tonight on Newsworthy.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number 1, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre-approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number 2, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number 3, don't rush the process. Take your time and know that the process could take some time. Number 4, consider all the costs. Number 5, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
It's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
You have scoured the podcast world and finally found us, Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry, where we delve into all things mysterious, macabre, or out of this world, and decide if they are truly newsworthy. 2 words and 2 question marks.
What do you say, gentlemen? Been a
Hello,
wild
hello.
ride getting here tonight.
Hasn't it though?
It's been an interesting night.
To say the least.
Started early and then started late.
Went very late.
Oh my gosh. However, pizza was delicious. But I gotta tell you a story right out of the gate. I gotta start with this story.
Sure.
Tried to call my grandpa the other day, and he said he couldn't call me because he had a ransomware attack. Now,
That's not good.
yeah. Here's the problem. Gramps doesn't own a computer, and he's still got a flip phone. So I was like, what in the hell happened? He said, well, all I know is some guy grabbed my phone and he ran somewhere.
Yep. That's a ransomware.
Nothing. Thank you, Brett.
I
I
like it.
appreciate it. I appreciate you, Brett. You are the one person. Oh, heck no. There ain't no pizza left. Shoot. You got
I was at
that guy here.
truly love the pizza.
Mm,
There's a bunch of pizza left. We ate like half of it.
Big City Pizza is
None
amazing.
for her though.
Good
That's my
stuff.
lunch for tomorrow.
That's like one of my favorite dinner wings. Everything around here, with the exception of Bluegrass Sabor, by all means, go try it out, is just basically trash.
No, well,
Heavens to
there's
Betsy
one
is
more.
freaking awesome.
It's okay.
Listen, I tell you what, every time I've had it, it's been awesome. Like the last week's special
theirs.
was, I mean, probably one of the best sandwiches I've ever had.
I like Heavens to Betsy. I was just giving Jerry some crap.
Because that's where I always go.
It's
I used to go to some other places and we got tired of crap from other
What was
places.
the one place we went and it was just so bad?
Sonic was the worst
Yes.
ever.
Oh my
Sonic was
gosh,
horrible.
dude.
I hadn't eaten there in probably 7, 8, 10 years, and I'm like, I now remember why.
Yeah, it was bad.
And it's expensive.
Yeah, it was every bit the same price as Heavens to Betsy.
Yeah.
And or Bluegrass Sabor.
Well, it's
And
like
it was
all
just
fast
terrible.
food now. It's like McDonald's is the same way. You're gonna spend $15 on a meal.
And here, not to get political, but when you're paying somebody $15 an hour, $10 an hour, and why? Why am I paying you this amount of money for this level of quality?
You get a McDonald's hamburger and the cheese is half off the sandwich.
The last time pretty much the only lunch I ever eat at McDonald's, and this is God's honest truth, is the filet of fish, which I know it's the worst thing on the menu. I get it. There's just something about it. The last time I got it, I kid you not. First of all, it's supposed to be a steamed bun. They even have a little special thing that they use to steam the buns. The bun was not steamed, so it was like a regular hamburger bun. The cheese was nowhere near the fish. It was over in the corner of the box. And on the other side of it was like a Filet-O-Fish bar. I could take the cheese over here and the tartar sauce over here.
They have to be trying to not just put the cheese on the fish. I mean, it's not that hard. You center it onto the sandwich. But exactly every time I go to the McDonald's up in Harrodsburg, terrible service. They're always fighting behind the counter.
Oh yeah,
somebody's not doing their job, and it's awful. I mean, and then you go to Chick-fil-A, and it's just like perfect service every time.
I would much rather spend my money Chick-fil-A. Here's another thing that I don't, and I know we have listeners that understand this more than I do. If I go, I like one of my favorite restaurants is Moe's. Love Moe's. It's kind of like the Mexican's food Subway, right? But they have a tip jar, and I'm like, but I'm standing up. Why would I don't.
You serve yourself at Moe's, right?
Basically, yeah. And it's like, well, I don't understand it. If I'm
what
sitting,
am I tipping for?
Yeah, if I'm sitting and I have a waitress or a waiter
comes and takes your order, brings your food, different story.
I'm tipping hella big because I'm a big believer. If you can't afford the tip, you can't afford to go out.
I'm also a big believer. If you piss them off and come back, you don't know what kind of food you're going to be getting.
Right. So I don't know. Anyway,
not agree with you.
One thing I want to add, totally off topic. You and I have said for a while that one of the reasons we do this is for posterity's sake. I've mentioned that heaven forbid something should happen. I wanted my two grandsons, who are 1 and 3 years old, to have something to remember me by. I was thinking about 2/3 of the way through the Twitch part. I've got to clean up my act on Twitch. That is not what I want my grandsons to see. I cannot be telling Brett's jokes on Twitch anymore. No more. Tonight was the last night I'm going to be telling Brett's jokes.
Yeah, if you're just listening on Spotify or whatever, you should tune in on Twitch. We're going to try and starting at 7:30, but if we start at 8:30, don't just.
Well, I mean, if we don't start on time, typically we really try.
Yeah. We were sitting down at what, 7:15, 7:30?
Working.
I mean,
we weren't just goofing off tonight.
We were like ready to go, and then we just had too many technical difficulties.
We'll get into it here just real quick. One of the things we did last year that we really enjoyed was the Bigfoot Fest in Logan, Ohio.
This year.
And one of the things we covered tonight was, first of all, I want to make an announcement in just a second. But we're looking at all of the new and other festivals that we can attend next year, because now's the time to be recording and researching those. We also had a huge opportunity. Podcastguest.com featured our podcast in their weekly newsletter, not once, but twice. And we were talking and working through the guest list of people who signed up that wanted to come on our program, which is really awesome. Several authors should have some really great guests that come from that. So we had to go through that. We had to do a new call to action because we have a brand new sponsor tonight who we're going to spend a little time with here in a minute. And so we had a lot of stuff to do. We were actually even going to try to do 2 episodes tonight because I'm going on vacation in 2 weeks. And I'm going to be out of the country, out of like a couple of countries. So I'm pretty excited about that.
What was it you told Brett when he mentioned about going to Florida? Can you take a laptop with you?
What? I don't know.
That's what you said to Brett?
Well, that's because Brett is a young man who's got lots of.
Who's going on
not like-
vacation with
No
his family?
responsibilities.
You know, he doesn't have any responsibilities like four beautiful. I just gotta say, I saw a picture of the baby. I think we finally got one that's gonna look like the wife.
I said the same thing the other day. I was like, Julie, I think this one looks the most like you. So
I absolutely think so. I think she's gorgeous. All your kids are gorgeous. So, yeah. I'm not taking a laptop, by the way. I'm not even convinced yet that once I get to Florida, I'm not even going to turn my phone on. I'm just saying. I'm kind of at that.
You shouldn't. Yeah, just enjoy it. Do you get service on the water?
You can pay for service.
Okay, so
but with my plan, I can get service in most of the countries. So
do they give? Does the boat give like a booster, or do they have Wi-Fi or anything?
They have Wi-Fi if you want to pay
for it big time.
It's usually expensive. Now,
I'd be like, all right, I'm just not going to have my phone for
all that's included in this cruise. We got a stellar deal. The Wi-Fi is included. We had one of their premier restaurants included. Our drink package is included. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's the way we like to do it. We've paid it all. We just need to show up and have fun and come home.
See, that's the thing. It's like we go to Disney and you're like, all right, we pay this big upfront cost, and then you get there and you're like, man, you got to pay
Would you
for
like
food.
this? Would you like that?
Oh my gosh, yes, food, and then you got all these other extras. You got who is that?
That was me. Thought I had my thing muted. Guess not.
You got to have fast passes because we ain't waiting for lines with kids.
My
But
computer is muted. I don't even know.
It's your phone.
That's muted too.
But something's beeping.
No, I don't know. I don't think it's
bad. So we were talking about bad employees. I was recently asked to describe myself in one word in a job interview.
What word did you pick?
I answered, bad at following simple instructions.
Truer statement has never been said. That's far better than mine. I had an argument the other day with my girlfriend. Afterwards, I rearranged all the labels on her spice rack. I'm not in trouble yet, but the time is coming.
This is what I almost chose. I almost chose that one.
Told you yours is far better than mine. Mr. Lindsay over here loved that one, so we can.
I just want to say that my son, I got 4 boys, and Nicholas hates the smell of cumin so bad.
Really?
Yeah.
The taste?
Like, he doesn't even, when I would make tacos, he would not even come in the kitchen until it was time to eat because it was so bad. Yeah. And I don't disagree with him. It kind of smells like body odor.
I've never noticed.
Try to smell it the next time you smell it.
Cumin.
I do too.
like to eat it.
I do too. Yeah.
I even use it in chili sometimes.
I use a whole crap out of it.
But
quesadillas.
Yeah. But
if
it smells like body odor.
If I do use taco seasoning in a packet, I'll add more cumin to it.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing, Mama? Are you ready good? All right. Well, as I had talked about earlier, we have a brand new sponsor tonight. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Big news. Not just because we have a sponsor, but because of who it is and what they stand for.
Yeah.
I am completely stoked, and I want to just take a few minutes, and then we're going to get to our topic tonight, which stick around for the topic because it's
a big one.
Yeah, we didn't really think it was going to be. It was kind of like the opposite of voodoo. We got into voodoo, and we're like, yeah, it's going to be a big topic, and it was a big bunch of nothing. This one, we're like, it's going to be okay, and holy crap, the rabbit holes just keep happening. But we want to think and talk about JT's Way for a minute. Hey, put that. Get out of there. Sorry. JT's Way is a nonprofit, Christian ministry-based charity that we would like you to support. You can do so by going to jtsway.com. And I pray that none of our listeners ever have to use JT's Way. Jerry is upset the entire everything.
No, Ramona's about to kill a cat out there.
They're just... So, what JT's Way does, first of all, let's talk about JT first of all. 17-year-old guy, one of the absolute, I know him personally, one of the absolute best hearted young men you will ever meet. God-centered and just a damn good guy. I mean, just honest. Never met a stranger, always was very humble and just very outgoing and outspoken. He unfortunately passed away as a result of a tragic car accident. And his parents, instead of folding, instead of giving up and just melting into nothing, they needed an outlet and they formed JT's Way. And what JT's Way does is it offers, it's a resource that connects you to the resources available wherever you're at. Funeral resources, funeral expenses, grief counseling. The people that run this place, I just can't speak for the life of me. Jerry no longer exists. Just saying. How good these people are. Now, nobody's perfect. Obviously, we're not here to talk about anything else. But from if you've ever wanted to donate to a nonprofit, I can assure you that every single penny that you donate to JT's Way helps somebody. These folks helped me personally, and this is probably the main reason I'm excited to have them as a sponsor. And I had the unfortunate experience them, and I didn't even know that I needed them. And anyway, was in the hospital for 2 weeks with a very, very serious issue. They show up, JT's Way does, and they just offer prayers. And when you're in the middle of a situation, and I'm going to try to explain this as easy as I can without getting too into it. Sometimes when you're in the middle of a situation and you're surrounded by people who are also in that situation, it is hard to talk with people who are not in that situation. Does that make sense? And they show up, and I'm a big believer, and if you don't like it, I'm sorry, you can tune out, never listen to us again. But I'm a big believer in Christ and the power of prayer. And they came up, they walked the halls with me, a couple, just listening to me talk and pray for me. And before they left, went to shake my hand and gave me cash money and said, "Here, you're going to need this." And I didn't even realize, I was in such a funk that I didn't realize that I was completely broke at that point. I'd been in the hospital for 2 weeks eating hospital food or takeout, hadn't been working, didn't have any idea how bad I was in until I realized, hey, I'm pretty bad in. I need this. But
I'm sure, yeah, when something like that happens, your whole focus just narrows in on that one situation. I mean, I can't.
Absolutely.
I mean, of course, I have 4 kids. I couldn't imagine, something happening to them where you're in that situation where it's, nothing else matters. You're not worried about money. You're not worried about your job. You're worried about your kid.
Right. And I just want to say from personal experience, if you have an extra, you get a bonus and you want to do something good with it, or you are a person who likes to donate money, you won't find a better resource to donate to. I got very, very fortunate and did not need any additional services from JT's Way. But there are folks out there who are not so fortunate. And if you are in that situation, JT's Way is a resource for you to help you navigate. And you're going to hear it in the ad. You're going to take a hold of the situation, and they can help give you some hope. So
we're glad to be affiliated with them.
Yeah, 100%. Totally glad to be affiliated with them. We are extremely happy that they've decided to use us as an outlet to try to grow what they do. And please check them out, jtsway.com. Sorry, that was a long way. I apologize for all that, but they're worth it,
Yeah,
to be honest.
for sure.
So check them out. Check them out now. Whew, that was a lot. And Tanya, thank you very much for sponsoring us, BJ. They're the vice president, vice president of JT's Way. Thank you for trusting us. We're going to do our absolute best to help you guys earn enough money so we can help other folks.
They're playing with the 60-sided dice, looks like.
I will absolutely beat that cat to death. That is, please get that away from her before she loses it. How'd you know that was a 60? Most people think that's a 100.
Because I played D&D with you with the 60-sided dice.
Oh, yeah. So, like, we're big nerds, so have dice laying all over the place, and the cat thought that was a great idea. Wrong answer. Tonight.
He's like, where is that?
Yeah, right. Where'd he go? We got big plans. We've been working on plans. We're going to redo our studio. We got new paint, new color scheme, new everything's coming. So excited. What about you, Jerry? What's going on in Jerry's world?
Same old crap.
No, that's not true.
What?
New house.
Jerry's got
New
a
house.
brand new house. He's got it all figured out now. He's
I wish.
single and
I don't
ready
think
to
you ever-
mingle.
Single and you hear that, ladies? Single and ready to mingle.
Yeah.
The only thing is, if you decide to, be with Jerry, is you have to understand at the very beginning of the relationship that on the opposite side of Jerry's bed is a beautiful picture of me always watching.
There used to be.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Christmas times are coming. Christmas times are coming.
For those that might happen to be new, several years ago, Steve bought this fan.
It's on a big head.
Yeah.
Big head fan.
Big head, yeah. It literally is a big head. It's like this wide, this tall, and was over at my house. My daughter was there. He conned her into sneaking it into my bedroom, putting it on my pillow. And I go in and go to bed, and here's this huge, ugly monstrosity staring at me. Yeah. Anyway, when I moved to the new house, my daughter and I had went over an hour before Steve and the other gentleman that come to help me move and stuck it in the ground right outside. But we forgot to move it inside. It rained that night or the next morning. And sadly, I'd had it for years, but it's now gone.
So let's find out for facts. Did it float or melt?
Oh, it is still there. It just kind of dissolved and
So it melted. I'm sweet.
leaned over.
Good deal. That's
Yeah,
all I need to know. I'm a
yeah.
sweetheart. Oh.
So you think. So you think. They're just playing, leave them. I seriously think the more attention we pay to them, the more they continue to act up.
Yeah. So I have 3 dogs here in the studio and in my house because the studio is in my house.
And they like to be a part of our podcast.
They do. Mona, Steady, and Sunny. And we have a stupid cat named Duck and another cat named Goose.
That Steve loves. Literally, I've got pictures and can show you if you try to dispute, I will, of him
He's got the
sleeping
facts.
of him sleeping with the cats on his chest as he lovingly
Once you're
cradled them.
asleep, cats get on your chest to try to see if they can digest.
And they
That
take
wasn't
your
even the
hands
idea.
and make you cuddle them?
Yes, they
Okay.
absolutely do.
I understand.
Cats are evil.
Oh,
I
God.
agree. I agree,
Thank
truly. You're still listening.
Cats are evil. Dogs are the best. He said that right, Bowman.
A cat always tries to put its whole belly on my face to suffocate me.
Oh,
You're
see?
lucky.
It's like trying to take you out.
It's usually their rear end they're trying to stick in your face.
Oh man,
Trying to take you out, Brett. How's your week?
it's been good. I went to Louder Than Life in Louisville this week. Got to see a bunch of good bands: Disturbed, Skillet, Dropkick Murphys, Motley Crue. Motley Crue I didn't really stay for that long, but
Were they bad? Were they terrible?
you could understand a couple of lyrics, but otherwise it was pretty much unintelligible.
Listen,
But yeah, it was all right.
I love Motley Crue.
listen.
I never saw them in concert though.
My very first concert.
They were old.
My very first concert.
They were
that I
all
ever
40
went
years
to-
ago.
Yeah.
My very first concert I ever went to was Motley Crue and Faster Pussycat. Had an amazing time. Faster Pussycat opened. And as they closed their set, they started with this song that was, I don't know if you call it a song, but it was a get ready jam. It was, and I can't even say it on our podcast. It was in GD, get off your, in jam. You know, you can figure out the words, right? And they did that over and over until the crowd was just furious. I mean, just crazy. And what you didn't realize is while they were doing it, they were kind of sinking into the stage. And Motley Crue was coming up out of the stage. And all you heard was, you didn't see them, you just seen the light hit the guitar. And they started with, gosh, what's the song? Kickstart My Heart. So a big guitar, you know, and it was freaking awesome. And the whole concert was badass. Fast forward 30 years, and my son Josh wants to go to a concert. So I look around and I say, hey, Josh, how about Motley Crue and Alice Cooper?
I remember when he went to this.
Yes.
Alice Cooper is phenomenal still, by the way.
Dude was 80.
I saw him a couple years ago, and he's still awesome.
273 years old, and he opened for Motley Crue, and it was amazing. Just like you said, awesome. Alice Cooper was amazing. And then Motley Crue came out, and they were like, and I was like, is he going to be all right? Do we need to get him some oxygen on the... It was bad.
Dude does not look good. He does not look... Like, I just saw him, like, I was like looking at him, I was like, dude, that guy looks like he should be in a home or something.
It was
like,
bad.
He does not look good.
And so, yeah, we left, and I was very comfortable with that being my first and last concert. That's my Motley Crue story.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it was Disturbed was phenomenal. I was actually able to like work my way up to like I had like 3 people in front of me, and then there was Disturbed. It was awesome. Skillet was really good. Dropkick Murphys was phenomenal.
Never heard of them.
Chevelle, they were awesome.
Did you go all 4 days or just
a Saturday? I can't do 4 days, man. I tried. I did it one time, and about the 4th day, I was like, I will never do this again because this is so taxing. You're just because I mean, for Disturbed, for example, I had to work my way up for about an hour and a half, just trying to like push through the crowd. Just every time there was a crowd surfer, I'd just like follow the crowd surfer through the. So, anyways, I finally got to the front, and I had to sit there for probably like 3 hours, just in the same spot. Like you can't move your arms really, and it was just it's a lot.
It sounds absolutely miserable.
It is good one day a year, and that's why I said next year. It's like they better be some good bands, or I'm not even going. Because like Falling in Reverse was one of the bands I was really excited for, and they ended up canceling because of the rain. We did get fortunate; it did not rain on us hardly at all. There was a little sprinkles there at the beginning. The mud was crazy, but it was good. It was fun.
Yeah, I know lots of people that went. A lot of people said they had a really good time. It was very muddy.
Yeah.
The venue was trashed when they left because of all the mud.
It was just all mud. It was just a mud pit. The crowd surfers just had mud like dripping off their shoes. I was like, dude, can you please stop doing that? If I was crowd surfing, I'd be like self-conscious about that. I'd be like, man, these people must hate me right now because my mud's getting all over their face.
I don't think people really
arms. They don't care. No, they were just doing it anyway.
You sounded so like 75. Just so you know, you're hanging out way too long with Jerry.
I mean, when you're in the front, you're just constantly like, all right, you got that crowd surfer. Now you're turning around. All right, there's the next one. Like it's just constant. Like after one after another. I don't know. Anyways.
I've never been to that kind of concert ever.
It's wild. And so we were front row. We're already compacted like super tight. These dudes started trying to start a mosh pit right where I was. I was like, this is not the place for a mosh pit. Go in the middle. This dude starts shoving me. I'm like, oh man. Anyways, it was crazy. It was exhausting.
Wow.
What about you, Steve? How was your week?
Dude, it was always. I'm almost at the point that if I'm waking up on the sunny side of the dirt, it was a great week.
When you call me old?
Well, you know. Actually, I've had a really good week. Work's been good. Got another closing coming up this week. So,
heck yeah.
I don't know. We're just doing our thing.
How is the housing market right now?
Housing market's okay. They dropped the interest rates by 0.5%.
Was it like 6 now?
About that, depending on where you go and what your credit score is. That fluctuates, obviously, but the housing market here, and I can only speak for Kentucky, is good.
It still seems real high.
It is.
Price-wise?
250.
Oh, absolutely.
250 and down is still very competitive because that's the first-time home buyer market.
Which is crazy to me. Because when I graduated college, we were looking at like starter. This was 6
From a
years
young guy.
6 years ago. We were looking at starter homes, and we were looking at like the $110,000 range. That's what we were looking at for 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses. And then when we started, we bought our forever home, and it was like $235, and then we ended up selling it 2 years later for $350. It's just anyways,
it's because you had a really good realtor.
Well, we did have a great realtor, but it's crazy. It's crazy. Nobody can buy a home right now. If you're coming out of college, you ain't getting a starter home. You're having to rent for $1,200, $1,500 a month for a 2-bedroom house.
And depending on your willingness to move and your what you're willing to do.
That's the thing. You almost have to get a fixer-upper now because anything else is just going to be way out of your price range. I mean,
you said if you're willing to move. We're in one of the cheaper areas of the country.
But even that being said, there's a huge difference between where we live in this town and where Brett lives in his town.
Sure, and even more if you want to go to Monticello or something like that.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But even so,
but
down
then
there,
you worry about can I afford to have a job there when I get there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got the drive, the gas, and anyways, it's just it blows my mind how expensive. We have a house in our neighborhood right now, and it's selling for like $290. I feel like 6 years ago would have been a $130,000 house.
Yeah,
you're probably right.
It is and you were talking about the prices. The prices are going to fluctuate very mildly, but quite frankly, they're, let me just put this to bed real quick, and we've got to get to our episode.
We do.
Real quickly, if you are sitting out there waiting for a real estate crash, crash is not coming. Okay, it's just not coming. The difference between now and 2008 is in 2008, they gave a lot of subprime loans to people who didn't really need those loans. Those loans came up, they faltered, and the market couldn't sustain a crash. Now, does that mean that we are not having a big supply of pre-foreclosures and people that are getting into trouble right now? Absolutely. But it has nothing to do with the housing market. It has everything to do with the greater economy.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, because people are like, oh, it's going to crash. The people that are being forced into pre-foreclosure and foreclosure right now isn't because they took out too much to loan. It's because the price of everything else has gone up, and it's put them in a bad situation.
The problem is the incomes aren't going up.
Right.
Well, they are, but nowhere near in context.
Oh, not even close. We got a 3% raise this year, and the inflation was 4%. And that's not including the housing market, which is 13 times more than what it was in the 80s. So
in my second job, I deal a lot with people who are having trouble paying that rent, who's 13, and they're like, I don't understand why my rent's $1,300. It used to be $500. And I don't usually have time to say, well, your rent's $1,300 because the person who was renting to you at $5 sold it at a high rate, and the person that bought it, their mortgage is $12, and you're paying that plus another $100 for expenses. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So,
anyways,
long story short, my week was great. That's all I was trying to say.
We're in it today. Man, these crop circles are going to take a while. But this is how we're going tonight.
Just for your information, you did not make that long story short at all. It was a long story, but very informative.
Could have been a lot longer.
This cat loves dice. Let me just tell you.
Up there knocked another one off.
She is.
I'm telling me. She is going to town. She's in heaven right now.
So go ahead and she's stupid. That's our newest cat. That's Duck. So we have a cat named Goose. Now we have a cat named Duck. And whatever we get next will be also Duck. So we Duck, Goose.
I'm disappointed that you guys broke your trend. Up until this cat, it was the one-eyed cat gang.
I know.
The last two previous cats had one eye, and this one has
Oh, that other
both.
was it blind in one eye?
Yeah.
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 What happened to that cat?
We should talk. This is a PG show. And
Oh, okay. Okay.
let's just say that she liked to play with the dogs too much.
Oh, okay. I got you. Anyways, all right.
Yeah.
Crop circles.
Who's starting?
Huh?
Who's starting?
I don't think we decided that.
You want to go?
I mean, I can go.
I think
Alright.
we decided Steve was last. So.
All right,
for it.
I'll go. Okay. So, crop circles. That's what we're talking about this week. It's like Steve was saying before. It's something that we were like, oh, this is going to be a pretty short episode, 45, 50 minutes, and then you start getting into it, and it's just like, holy crap. It's an endless pit of information. So, we're going to do our best to try and cover as much as we can in this episode. Might end up being a, multiple part topic, but so crop circles, just right off the bat, have been around since the earliest forms of recorded history. So first off, the Book of Enoch, which was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it mentioned a lightning that would make circles in crop fields. So this was, the Book of Enoch was what, 10,000 years ago?
It's been a long time, brother.
So this has been in recorded history for a long time. So one thing I want to start off with that I think is the most interesting, and it'll kind of lead into Steve's topic just a little bit. In 1974, it was called the Arecibo message, which was basically an interstellar radio message that was sent out by scientists such as Dr. Frank Drake. This is the guy who created the Drake equation, if anybody's familiar with that, and Carl Sagan. It contains 7 parts, starting with the numbers 1 to 10. It was basically in a grid formation. So it started from the numbers 1 to 10. Then it shows the atomic. What was
That was Colin Andrews.
So then it shows the atomic elements: hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus, which make up the DNA. It started with carbon, as it is the most dominant in forms of life. It shows a picture of a human with an average height and human population. It shows a graphic of the solar system indicating which of the planets is ours, Earth, obviously. Lastly, it shows a graphic of the Arecibo radio telescope, which was used to send out the message. So, when they sent this out, the nearest star in the direction of the message, which they sent it in the direction of the constellation Hercules, was 25,000 light years away. So this means that we would expect a response in 50,000 years. So 25,000 years there. If they're able to respond as soon as it gets there, then another 25,000 years back.
Hey, Brett,
50,000 years.
let me cut in for just a second.
Yeah.
So a few things about this. Many of the great minds of the time thought that us sending this message out into the vastness of space was a very bad idea. The people on that list, names you may have heard of. And I apparently...
And that you forgot.
Stephen Hawking was a big proponent, or was a big critic of this plan. He absolutely said, hey, if there's something out there, we don't want to go broadcasting everything about the human race, including what we're made of and how many of us there are, and exactly where we're located within the solar system.
Yeah.
Which is what we did. To get into a little more detail, it showed that there were approximately, at the time that the message was sent, 4 billion
4
people.
billion people, yeah.
It had a numerical number from 1 to 10 so that they would understand how to read the rest. It showed the sun, all 9 planets at the time, because Pluto was still and is still a planet. Don't me, I'll kick you out of my house. If that's just sidebar, if clearing your debris field around yourself is rules for being a planet, right now, Earth is not a planet. I just want to throw it out there.
It's also got a different orbit than all the other 8 planets. It's much smaller than a lot of the asteroids in our solar system.
Yeah, combat that.
About that. So anyway, so it shows which planet in the solar system we are attached to, and it's very detailed. It even shows our DNA chain. So if you are out there in the universe and somebody sends you all of this information, it all of a sudden becomes very easy as you're on your way here to figure out ways to exterminate all of those people. And that was the big thing with Stephen Hawking and some of the other.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
But
In a way.
yeah, I mean, I think that you can see both sides of the argument. Obviously, if there is life out there, it'd be cool to be able to communicate with them. I think this is also just a way to say, hey, we have this technology, we're going to use it. So again, we weren't expecting a response for 50,000 years. We weren't really expecting a response in any frame of time that we can even fathom. So, but in August 14th of 2001, a formation was found next to the Chiltern telescope, which was a face. All right, this was a face, and that was made into a field of crops. 3 days later, the Arecibo answer was found using the same 23 by 73 grid used for the message we sent out in 1974, cut into a row of crops. They show the numbers 1 to 10, just like ours did. So that starts it off. Then they show that silicon is the main building block for life instead of carbon. Their DNA actually has a third string. It shows a 4-foot-tall humanoid figure with a large head. It shows that their population is 20 billion.
21.
21 billion?
Sorry.
No, you're good. They appear to occupy 3 objects in the solar system, the 3rd and 4th planet from their star, and then there's a 3rd unknown object. They don't know if it's some sort of, created object or a larger planet. And instead of the graphic of the Arecibo telescope, they offer a different graphic. So what's interesting about this graphic is that the identical formation appeared in the same place just a year earlier. So it's a very complex shape. So basically, we think that they're trying to show us what they're using to communicate.
What if, and just follow me, that shape is the 3rd object that they
It could be.
occupy in their solar system?
Yeah, it could be. And it's interesting. There's no way of us knowing really without more information. But it seems like, and that's something that a lot of people agree on, is that all of these crop circles are some way of them trying to communicate with us as humans. And we're going to get into a little bit more here in a second. So 1 year later from this formation, another formation appears showing an alien face with a formation adjacent to the face using binary code that was actually translated into English. Jared, did you read about this?
That part, no.
Okay.
Oh, well, this is going to be very interesting.
I have the translation.
Okay.
So it says, beware of the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time. Believe. There is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing. All right, so when I read this, I was like, what are they talking about? Are they talking about other aliens or... I don't know. Steve, you've obviously read this. The first thing that popped in my head was they're talking about our government. The deception that our government is putting out there that there's no aliens, there's no other life but ours, but human beings. The bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. That I just think of our government first, just right off the bat. Much pain, but still time. What did you think of the message?
Okay, so it's a little complicated how I feel about this. I think it can go one of 2 ways. You can think of it as our government and what they have been. If you think it's our government, then you have to assume that they've had contact with our government,
which I believe,
and that they are trying to let the rest of the people know, hey, we're here and we're not
out to just destroy you. Yeah, right. Which makes sense, because they could have destroyed us a long time ago.
Well, first of all, if you believe that an alien race has the ability to get to Earth from 25,000 light years away.
Yeah.
When they arrive, they have the ability to destroy us.
Are you getting into the wormhole stuff any?
No.
Okay, but I would
Not
say
yet.
that for an extra episode. But
Yeah.
that stuff is crazy.
It is.
It's crazy. Anyways,
And here's the second thing when it comes to the Arecibo answer is what they call it. If you believe it's legit, which I kind of do, okay, there was only a handful of people that knew what the message was that we sent. And every single website you go to.
No, there wasn't a handful. That was broadcast throughout the entire scientific community. So
Okay.
everyone knew.
Okay, well, not everyone.
In the scientific community, it was a published.
well,
Most
You're right.
scientists don't go around creating.
the problem is somebody couldn't make this overnight.
Right.
And there's no way. And honestly, I don't know if you could make this in
4 or 5
a
months.
few months' time. Honestly, it's just
Well, most
it's so
scientists said you could.
complicated. Really?
I don't.
I'll give
Have
you
you
my
seen it?
answer.
Have you seen it?
I'll give you my answer here in a minute.
Of course, Jerry's going to say no.
Jerry's not
I'm
going to
just
say
saying-
no.
If
You
you
guys
look at
familiar?
it, and I don't see how you do this.
I don't
You guys familiar with SETI?
search for extraterrestrial. I have it
Who's
in
it
there on my
founded by?
computer. Berkeley University.
Carl Sagan was one of the original founders. He and Jill Tarter were the original founders. Reputable group?
Really?
Do we trust them?
If you believe that Carl Sagan wasn't a CIA operative, then yes.
Apparently you didn't understand the question, so I'll re-ask it. Reputable people?
I think he is a reputable source.
Here's what SETI Institute said about how do you pronounce it? Arecibo?
Arecibo.
Arecibo? Answer.
Oh, sorry.
They rebutted the idea, and by the way, this is on wikipedia.org. You can go to Arecibo message, and at the very bottom, the Arecibo answer crop circle hoax. This is what it says. The SETI Institute online rebutted the idea that this was a genuine extraterrestrial response by saying, this is highly improbable. There is no evidence to suggest an other than earthly origin for these graphics. The crop circle is a near replica of the original Arecibo message with the same 23 by 73 grid.
Yep.
Most of the chemical data remains the same, with the exception that in the section detailing important chemical elements, silicon has been added. The diagram of DNA has been rewritten slightly. At the bottom, the pictogram of a human is replaced with a figure with a large bulbous head. A solar system with 9 planets is also depicted. The Arecibo telescope is replaced by a replica of a crop circle. This is what SETI Institute said. They said it was very easily done, and it was a near identical replica of the original.
But what do you expect them to respond with, though?
SETI Institute? This is
No,
not the
I'm
government.
just asking you. I'm not asking SETI. I'm asking. So, like,
What would I
if you
expect
send out
SETI to
a
respond with?
no. I'm saying you send a response, or you send a message to
Oh, well,
aliens.
what would you expect them
Right.
to respond with?
What, so you send a message in this format. Wouldn't you expect them to respond with the same format?
Sure, absolutely. My only thing is, I said all that to say this. When you were saying it would be impossible to
I'm not saying
duplicate that,
impossible, but
They're saying it
very,
was very,
very
very-
difficult.
they're saying very, very easy.
Well, I would love to see them to try and replicate it. Have you
The
seen
SETI?
that? Look up the alien face.
I have.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
I would love to see somebody replicate that.
Not only would I like to see him replicated, I'd like to see him replicated in about 4 hours
Right.
with nobody seeing him do it.
That's the thing. It's and honestly, you could either way you go
What do
about
you
it.
mean to do it in 4 hours? What are you saying on that?
I mean,
I'm
it's
saying that
happening
because
overnight.
It's happening overnight, but let's just take
What's happening overnight?
The crop circle.
the crop circles.
Oh. I thought
So
you were saying
they're-
to design it in 4 hours.
They're creating this in a field in 4 hours.
There's no footprints.
No footprints. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, there's no footprints. The
There's no pole vaulting prints.
right. The design is super complex. I mean, it's not like you're just
Pretty
you're
complex.
taking a board and just sliding it along the.
And I'm going to
the
steal
field.
something from what you say on a lot of these things.
Sure.
the more people you have involved in something, the harder it becomes to
Dispute it?
the harder it becomes to keep it a secret.
I won't say that.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, it makes sense. I'm sure I have, but
You said
It's
it
a good statement.
I mean, it's a smart
it's not a
statement.
common
We're
thing
gonna
that
give
I
it
say.
to Jerry.
It's not a common thing I say, though.
If the
I'm
moon
sure you
landing
said that
is an
before.
example. There's 100,000 people that said we went to the moon. It's really hard for
Sure.
so many people to agree to something. See what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So it would be very hard for enough people within a 4-hour time limit, we'll say 5 hours even,
Keep
time
it a
limit,
secret.
to keep it a secret that they actually created. No one has ever came forth and said they faked this.
You're trying to crucify me, and all I did was read a scientific response.
No,
It's not
That's what I'm
criticizing.
saying is the
I'm
other
just-
side of the story.
No, I
That's
get it.
what scientists are saying.
I'm saying you were representing the scientists, and I'm just saying that those scientists are paid to say something else.
Well, and
Who is paying them to? Who is paying Carl
gonna get to
Sagan
that.
I
and
wanna-
SETI
so-
to say something else?
I don't.
How about three
No
little
one.
letters?
I'm asking.
No.
I'm asking this because I genuinely do not know. I'm not
Okay.
trying to who funds SETI?
Oh, people.
Just people who just normal
look
individual
it up.
investors. I guess I can look it up too, but oh my gosh,
So here's
Comes
my
Private
from a variety of
donations.
Here's my
sources.
thing. Here's what I'm saying, and here's
federal.
my,
It does receive federal research grants. So
For
I mean, they are
specific
getting some
studies.
sort of federal funding.
here's all I'm saying. For this creation, and even more so, maybe the alien face creation with the dial.
That's wild.
It is. I can't imagine a group of folk who can be this perfect with a creation in a period of 4 to 5 hours. Why 4 to 5 hours? Well, because darkness only lasts so long. You've got to give people time to go away, stop
Right.
watching.
I mean, you got it. Yeah.
You have to come in and you have to be gone before people are going to work. And you can't be there at the twilight or the morning times.
And it's so
because people
precise.
see you.
It's so
There's-
precise. That's the thing. It's just it's.
Brent, were you going to get into some of the technical things? Now, you're going to talk about the two dudes, right? The people that con the world.
I was
Bring 'em
going to
up.
talk about that, but it might fall in better with your topic.
Go ahead and do it. Go ahead
Okay,
and bring
so-
those guys up.
There were two guys that came out in 1991. This was before this crop circle that I was talking about, the Arecibo answer. So this was before that. So in 1991, there was two individuals, Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley. They came out claiming to have started the crop circle phenomenon in 1978. They said that they used a plank of wood, rope, and a baseball hat with a loop of wire to help walk in straight lines. So if you start looking into these two individuals, in several interviews, they would change their story. They would say that, oh, we started in 1975, we started in 1976, we started in 1978. They would change the dates that they started. They would claim to have made some crop circles. One in particular was, I think it was 4 or 5 circles that were completely separate. No sign of a walking path in between the circles. And they were asked, "Hey, how did you create this?" You said you created this. They said that they used pole vaults. They pole vaulted to each circle. These two individuals were like 60 at the time of they were being interviewed. They could barely walk. I mean, they were like so. A lot of their stories kind of start to. It doesn't sound 100% right. Yeah, again, the stories were just never consistent. And there actually was a case that they sued the government because they were not prepaid the second half of their sum, so they're paid half up front, and the second half of their sum they weren't paid, so they sued to get that extra money. I know Steve is going to get into more of like the CIA's involvement in all this crop circle stuff, and let me just tell you, I was not of the mindset of like, okay, this crop circle stuff is going to be super deep. And then you just start like looking at all of this evidence, and if you look at Wikipedia, which I looked at first, it basically says that Doug Bauer and David Charlie, they basically discredit the whole crop circle phenomena. They basically claim that everything that they made was what we had witnessed. I think they only claimed to make like 200 crop circles, and there was about 1,000 during that time period. So maybe they did 20%.
They also had most of the designs of the ones that they actually did in a shed on one of their farms. So they had actual proof of, hey, we designed this, we showed this, and then they showed that there was a crop circle done in that area. Sorry to me.
No, so so in that time, I don't think we. I know, Jerry. Do you want to bring up what you were talking about with the where they made a crop circle and they had?
In one instance, they had been challenged by some people saying, "Did you guys actually do this?" You're right; they're not very credible people, and their stories changed several times. At one point, they actually, I believe, claimed to have done most of
Right.
all of them in England, which was a few thousand.
Right.
Later, they said is a couple hundred.
Yeah.
They were obviously trying to get some fame. They weren't really credible. But in one case, they were brought out to some fields and said, show us what you can do. And they made one, at which point they left. They brought in several crop circle experts, and 4 of them vouched that these are legitimate. These are absolutely what we've been screaming and preaching about. And after they had said these are actual legitimate crop circles, here's why, and went through their long list, they said, really, we watched these 2 gentlemen make it and had video prove it.
Right. I will say that I saw the picture of what they made. It was not, in my opinion, it was not as complex as a lot of these other crop circles.
It wasn't close.
Another thing, just this, I don't know if, and I don't know when we determine a lot of this stuff, but we have since realized that radiation is left over these crop circles after the fact. One thing that a lot of people see in the crop circles that we believe aliens did create, there's a mist over the crops afterwards, and we believe that is from the radiation that has created steam from the crops. So in wheat in particular, there's a time period during the year where the wheat will curl. And what they find is that where the crop circle was made into the wheat, that wheat is actually completely straight. So it's straight and it cannot be curled. It's very strong still. They find that there is still electromagnetic radiation left over in these areas. They find magnetic metallic materials. And there's another thing. Even when all of these, when all of the crops have been harvested, there's a lot of these have a ghost formation, which you can still see the outline of the crop circle, which would not make sense if it was just man-made. So again, a lot of this is believed to be some form of radiation.
So, what I want to talk about real quick, and Jerry, I know you got.
You're fine. Go.
I just want to, because I think this is going to be a 2-parter. We're going to probably hit the second half of this probably in January, just to be honest. But I gotta say, the difference between a couple of old boys with a board and some rope making a crop circle is that when those guys do the crop circle, like you suggested, and the experts, I'm using air quotes, come in and say, yeah, it was a real crop circle. The difference is, in today's time, we have scientific evidence. When you do a crop circle like that, and it's been proven, you can make perfect circles by using a pivot rope and making the circle going around it with that. You do immense damage to the crop. You break the stalks, you push down the flowers, depending on what type of crop you're in. when a crop circle is not done with a rope and a board, and which is what Brett was talking about, at the very base of the stalk, whenever a plant, and this gets really technical, so I'm going to try to keep it as untechnical as I can because it's wine. But when a plant has a movement or a growth or a repair to it, it makes a knuckle on the plant. And most of the time, if those knuckles are anywhere on the stalk, it's okay. Except when it's at the base, it usually kills the plant, which is one of the problems with the board and the rope theory.
And you can just test this by going through a crop field and just pushing everything over.
Yeah.
And all that stuff is going to be destroyed.
Yeah. So with a real, and I'm using air quotes again because this is all skeptical, but with a real crop circle, the plants just adjust. They don't die. There's no damage. And in fact, the seeds from the plants that have been exposed to a real crop circle, when planted the next year, yields up to double the amount of crop than the ones that weren't exposed to this in the same field. And that's a sticking point. In fact, there's been several crop circles that were done in flower fields where the flowers were laid over so delicately that the flowers themselves just had no damage whatsoever. And we're not talking about a stalk of wheat. We're talking about a dainty little flower.
Right. You step on a flower, it's freaking...
It's crushed. Go step on a rose and see what happens. And, you know, Jerry, you've often said that we can take 95% of whatever and just chuck it out the window.
Which I think applies to this. I'm
Absolutely.
100%.
And then you can take another 3% and say, maybe, and then chuck that out the
But
window.
you're still left with that 1 or 2.
You still got 1 or
2 or 3,
2%.
whatever.
And it's the 1 or 2% that has the residual, that has the leftover. Like a year later, they've planted a totally new plant, but you fly an airplane over it, and there's the crop circle, still very visible from the air.
And this is where the disinformation later comes into play, I think. Because it causes confusion in the community, and it basically discredits everybody. Anyways.
One of the biggest, and I'll just hop into it real quick. One of the biggest, most well-recognized names in crop circles is a guy named Colin
Andrews, right?
Andrews. Colin Andrews is an engineer. He was a guy that said, you know what? He was called to a crop circle to look at that, was fascinated by it, left his whole career behind to focus on crop circles. And, you know, and we're going to get into who approached him and why on our next episode. But I will say it starts with 3 letters, and they don't belong in England.
Well, don't tease them like that. Go ahead and say who the letters are.
CIA.
There you go.
Central Intelligence.
Who knew John F. Kennedy was 100% right?
Right? We're going to get to that in a couple of weeks.
Is it next week?
I think so.
Which I'm not going to be here. Or the biggest
you're
member's
missing
gonna
that
be here.
one.
Take your laptop.
I 100% will.
You guys already...
Truly, listen, Wednesday night next week, I'm going to be a little busy.
Listen, I'm just going to say that if the CIA is involved, if it were all a fraud, okay, and we're going to get into a lot more details in the next episode. We're just flat out, we're way over time. If the CIA, and I want to leave you with a parting statement. If the CIA is involved, why?
Well, I can tell you why. Last week, did I read that you sent a link, to digress for a second? You sent a link about the UFO landing in Canada.
Yes.
Attached with that, there was some emails. Did I read that?
I don't remember.
It was from some government people, and they were discussing releasing the information. And some of them were saying, why? What good can it possibly do?
Oh,
I think that's a typical government response. And all that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I think that's the way they look at it.
But look, here's the thing,
It's
Jerry.
confusing.
Most of crop circles, first of all, and I'm just going to throw this in there that was going to be for next episode, but why not? We're in. And I'm way in. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to do that tonight. But simply put, most crop circles happen outside of the United States. And a lot of people want to know why that is. Well, the difference is in Europe and a lot of places in England where these crop circles happen, they have very strict gun control laws. In America, you start tearing up a farmer's field, he's liable to shoot you or shoot at you because that's money right directly out of his pocket, and we don't have such control. That's what the overall theme is.
That's I've got I think a better explanation for why it happens. You mentioned Europe. More precisely, where in Europe?
Oh, it's on the 37th parallel, which we
England,
mentioned
southwestern England, which is
Stonehenge.
the ley lines
The ley
go
lines.
through
And it
this
has
area.
a lot of chalk, which is important.
We're going to get to that in the next episode.
I think that has way more to do with it than gun laws and how many guns they have. I think it's, if you believe for that 1 or 2%, again, I think we all agree 90-something% of this
Yeah,
is
no, for sure.
BS. But there's a small fraction you can explain away.
Here's the thing. If the CIA wants us to think that this is just a bunch of hokey hoo-hoo, then they just need to stay away. But as soon as they become involved, now we have some reason to say, well, why are they there?
Isn't that the same thing we said about Roswell? Once you begin to start
Absolutely.
telling stories, then having to retract them because, well, that's absolutely stupid and unbelievable, and come out with new ones real quickly. So we don't believe anything you say.
Yeah.
Dude, you're absolutely right. That's what I'm saying. I just, first of all, if it is primarily a England issue, why is the CIA involved?
Because it might scare some Americans.
Well, and they're experts in shutting down information.
I can do a whole show on how the CIA has learned to use disinformation to control the American and the
That's
world.
exactly what they were
population.
doing.
Absolutely.
Project Mockingbird, right?
So, on the first half of crop circles, and I can't believe we're doing.
What's our timeline?
Dude, we're like, wait.
Really?
Yeah. So anyway, for the first half of crop circles, which I can't believe this, because we talked in Twitch prior to the show, we came into Voodoo thinking, oh, we're going to do 2 or 3 episodes. It's going to be such a big
There
deal.
was nothing
It
there.
was nothing. Then we thought that about Chupacabra. Oh, it's such a big deal. It's going to be awesome. And then there was nothing.
Yep.
A mangy wolf or whatever.
Totally agree.
And here we are on crop circles. One of the things that's most people think about and push to the fringe easily. And here we are going to do 2 episodes on it.
You're saying 2. I'm saying
I
we covered
think
one of the 3. We could do 3 or 4 on it.
I think we could do,
Exactly.
we could do as many as we want.
The kind of answers are question, right? Or vote.
Yeah.
If we need to do 2,
I think
3,
it's
4
more
episodes,
newsworthy. Yeah, it's definitely newsworthy. in
we
my
think
opinion.
it needs more coverage because we're going to give it more coverage.
Absolutely. So Brett,
100%. I mean, that's,
Harry,
Absolutely.
and I agree 100%. Let's do at least 2, maybe 3
There you go.
on crop circles because damn, it's a deep hole.
it's a super deep hole.
And I just never would have thought it when I said,
Me
hey, let's
either.
do crop circles.
Me either. I was like, crop circles. That'd be a quick episode, like easy. Just do one little crop circle. And no, it's deep. What a great conversation. But we're not done yet. Stick around through these very important ads for an awesome bonus story. JT's Way is a Christ-centered, nonprofit organization with a call to help hurting families during the loss of a child. At JT's Way, they assist families grieving from the loss of a child through assistance with things like funeral expenses, emotional support, guidance through the grief process, and help in their healing journey. While paying for funeral expenses, they help navigate picking a funeral home, burial plot, or cremation services, and provide families with grief counseling resources. JT was 17 years old when he died unexpectedly in an automobile accident. He was a senior in high school and a student in the automotive class. JT loved cars and music, and he took his role of friend very seriously, and made sure to make friends wherever he went. Their mission at JT's Way is to minister to families by financially assisting and connecting them with their local resources. These resources will assist in the financial and emotional burden of burying a child. Their aim is to aid in the healing process for parents and families, and these resources include grief counseling and parent-sibling groups. The outside world doesn't stop, but we can tell you from experience that a parent's world certainly does. In a time of desperate hopelessness, JT's Way provides hope. If you want to help support JT's Way in their mission, please reach out to them at www.jtsway.com. JT would often say, "Let me challenge you to make a friend, be a friend, and most importantly, bring a friend to the loving arms of Jesus Christ."
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number 1, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre-approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number 2, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number 3, don't rush the process. Take your time and know that the process could take some time. Number 4, consider all the costs. Number 5, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
If you would like to share suggestions for future episodes, or simply tell us how much you love or hate us, reach out to us via email at newsworthywithsteveandjerry@gmail.com or text us at area code 540-709-1318. And now, back to the story.
Tonight we go to Hawaii for the bonus story. Cherished as part of a deep cultural tradition, indigenous Hawaiian folklore has many stories that connect the human world to both the spirit and the natural world. One such story is that of the Green Lady, a spirit woman who haunts the forest around Hawaii national parks and botanical gardens. As the story goes, she used to be an ordinary human who visited Wahala Botanical Gardens with her children many years ago. Misfortune struck the family, and the woman's children became lost in the forest. She began to search for them, and when no one stepped in to help her, she became frantic. The woman refused to give up her search, and she never came out of the woods again. Or at least that particular woman never came out of the woods again. Years later, visitors to the Wahala Botanical Gardens and other natural preserves across Hawaii started seeing a strange-looking woman deep in the woods, sometimes only catching glimpses of her before she would disappear. She is said to be green in appearance, have fish-like scales, jagged teeth, moss, and leaves covering her body, and seaweed-like hair. Some have even reported hearing the Green Lady call to other people's children in an effort to lure them into the woods away from their families. The Green Lady, Hawaii. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.